we're speaking about how diversity and inclusion, how the rubber meets the road in the employee experience of diversity and inclusion. That we're all showing up with our own identity into houses that either match our identity or don't. And that has a real effect on us. Now, here's the thing, guys. Listen carefully to me. We have for so long tried to not look at the experience of the surrounding space around us. We for so long not looked at how a space makes me feel. That this is such a big awareness that we're trying to create. That you can be the most vibrant personality. I'm sure this has happened to some of you, and you come into a space and all of a sudden you feel very small. That's not because you're a small person. What about the space? What I'd love for us to think about are the narratives that we perpetuate about ourselves and about the people around us, thinking that it is them who's the issue rather than the space. I'm going to say that again. What I want us to be thinking about critically are the things that we tell ourselves about ourselves, our own limiting assumptions, and the things we think about others, our limiting assumptions about them, because we think it's who we are and who they are, rather than how the environment makes them show up and feel in terms of their comfort and their access. The Black job hopper. Here in South Africa, and it's actually not only a South African issue, we have this narrative of the Black person, the Black employee who's a job hopper, who's so hot property, right? Because we have a big diversity agenda in South Africa. We have affirmative action legislation. And everyone's like, oh, the Black professional is this hot property. You know, they're just leaving for more money. They're going from job to job to job to job so they can get higher prices. And it's created this narrative around the Black job hopper, that they are not loyal, that they're not committed. They're just there for the money because they go from job to job to job to job. Do you see what we've done with that narrative? We have thrown the onus and we have created the archetype of an individual. Our assumption of them is now set, that that is who they are. It is on them as an individual. But I wonder if we can consider this. What about this Black employee, this diverse employee? Say Black, say female, say queer, say disabled, say whatever you want. This diverse employee comes into a personified home that is not their home, with a sense of less comfort and less access. The effect of that low comfort, low access, because remember, my sense of comfort and access determines how I show up every day. That effect is, I feel voiceless. I don't feel engaged. I don't feel cared for. I don't feel developed. I don't have mentorship. I don't have sponsorship. So of course I'm going to start looking for alternative organizations. Of course I'm going to do that. And you know what our research shows here in South Africa? That Black employees actually don't leave for that much money. They leave for about, let me do a quick calculation, $200-300 extra a month. Not even that much. Not even that much money extra a month, $200-300 a month. The tougher question is, what is it about my organization, this space, that makes diverse employees not feel like they can stay? So the effect is job hopping, right? And then we perpetuate the stereotype that that's how they are. That's how women are. That's how queer people are. And then this, of course, reinforces, and the cycle continues and continues and continues without ever sitting and looking at that blue circle there, the space. What is it about the environment that creates this narrative? Because here's the real issue. Sit back, everyone. Now I'm getting sassy. Here's the real issue of what we're trying to talk about and what I need to land today, is that we have shifted the onus of the employee experience onto the employee, onto you. It is your fault that you're not having a good time. It is your fault that you're not comfortable. It is your fault that you don't have access. Why didn't you just go and ask for access? Why didn't you go get a mentorship or a mentor? Why didn't you just speak up? It is your fault. And this is what has happened strategically, right? We have shifted the onus onto the employee to be in charge of their employee experience. And this requires critique. Critique. because it is not the employee's issue to create. It is not only the employee's onus to create a good employee experience. There is an equal, if not more, experience on the employer and the space to enable talent to thrive within an organization. I'm going to say this again. The real issue is that we have shifted the onus of the employee experience onto the employee without the space taking any awareness. And these are some of the tools that we've done it. I'm going to be really, really shady right now. You must be professional. Amy, I don't want to hear about your children or your women things or your emotions. You need to show up and you need to be professional, right? I think I spoke about this last time. I'm going to repeat myself so many times over this year. You must be professional, which means leave all of your shit in the car, all of your baggage. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to, it's not my issue. You show up the sanitized human being who's just going to work. What we really mean by professional, often people who look like me, that we have a standard of what professional is, of what professional attire is, of what professional language is, of what professional hairstyles are, of what professional, and it's often associated to a privileged identity, that being mine. So we put the onus on the diverse employee to be like me. We don't have to worry about the space. We're never critiquing what being professional means, but the onus is now on you as the person who doesn't feel comfortable, who doesn't have access, to now aspire to my standard. How improbable is that? This is my personal favorite, right? That we must be authentic. Another big thing that's happening in the HR space or in the organizational space, authenticity. Oh, my authentic self, be authentic self. Oh, I'm trying to be, this is my authentic. What? Who gets to actually be authentic in organizations? Think about it. For some people, being their authentic self comes at a cost, comes at punishment, sometimes even violence. For transgender individuals, being their authentic self is dangerous, is career limiting. And now what? We must all be authentic without actually critiquing who actually gets to be their authentic self. Only some people's authentic selves are valued, are seen as safe, familiar, valuable, likable, and are encouraged. Other people's authentic selves are not. Don't speak that language here. That accent, no. No, I don't care if you've got a floppy hand as a guy, you put that away. Those authenticities of ourselves, some of them are not enjoyed, are punished, and sometimes even met with violence. But we bring in this language of authentic self within the organization to say, it's your problem, Amy. Sorry, I'm picking on you. It's your problem, Nicole. It's your problem, guys, that you're not being authentic. Go do the work on you so you can show up as your authentic self. But we don't want to look at the environment of what punishes and rewards certain types of authentic behavior. What nonsense. How disgusting. Makes me so irritated, this idea of authenticity. Because it puts so much pressure on us. We're already under so much pressure in this world that now I have to deliver and be authentic. No, man, I'm over it. It's absolute nonsense. So you can see these are two very strategic ways that we've created a system that puts the onus on you to do the work without us having to look at how the space makes me feel, right? The next one is the idea of purpose. Ooh, this is a growing frustration of mine, that you must be purpose driven. Oh, I'm living my purpose. Oh, my work is my purpose. Why does my work have to be my purpose? It doesn't have to be my purpose. Now I have to have extra pressure to approach this job with purpose and passion. And if I don't display that, I don't have loyalty. I don't want to be here. I'm not engaged. I'm not seen as leadership. What? Because this isn't my purpose? Why is all the pressure on me to always be passionate when I'm in a place that dulls my purpose, that doesn't even allow me to live my purpose, because maybe my purpose is inclusion, or maybe my purpose, whatever it is. Do you see how strategic these things are used, right? The next one, and this drives me absolutely nuts. For all the women who've gone to a lean-in brunch, or who has read Cheryl's book, or who gets told to lean in, I support it, cool, but let's also critique it. Lean in. Why, what are the chances of a minority identity, a depressed identity who feels they have low sense of comfort and low sense of access? Now the onus is on me as the person who's feeling the least comfortable to lean into a conversation. Again, we're saying you must lean in. If you want it, you must go get it. Be that independent woman. Take the opportunity. Blah, 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 blah. But it's like we're not actually looking what the space doesn't allow me to lean in, or it punishes certain people who lean in. Please, can we be critical about some of these elements? This one is like my all-time, I know actually all of these are all-time worst. I categorically reject any conversation around introvert and extrovert within organizations. I categorically reject them. We cannot have a conversation about introvert and extrovert in organizations without understanding that some spaces are going to make some people feel small and quiet. Some spaces, environments, and some people are going to make other people want to hide and shrink. And then we're going to say, she's an extrovert. She's an extrovert, that one. And being an extrovert comes with real material impacts on how it is we see you as talent. Oh, I don't know if she's going to be good for clients. She's such an introvert. What nonsense. How many people have said, Roy, I'm such an introvert at work, but I go out and I'm a preacher, I'm a deacon at my church, and I'm leading whole communities. But as soon as I walk in the door, I become this small person. And now we said, your problem that you're an introvert. You must be more extroverted, without actually critiquing the space. How does the space make me feel, for goodness sake, right? And then, of course, she's not a good culture fit, or he's not a good culture fit. But it's you who's the problem, not this place. Instead of asking, what is it about our culture that doesn't allow this person to fit? That's a better question. So what we have done very strategically, right? And I say we, I don't even know who I'm referring to when I say we, the man or the system or capitalism or whatever it is, I don't know. It is said that the employee experience is up to the employee, but it's made us believe that all employees are made equally and that we all start from an equal position, but we don't. So while yes, being professional, authentic, purpose, leaning in, introvert, extrovert, culture fit may be accessible to me because the system supports me, this environment supports me, for some people it's not. And then we go put all of these labels in and we ask them to go for coaching so they can find their authenticity and their purpose. What nonsense. Let us be looking at the space. So the reason I was saying this to everyone, particularly marginalized identity employees, is to take a breath, to hold yourself in compassion, and to understand that we have been told and been taught to hate ourselves, that we are not good enough, that we're not professional enough, that we're not authentic enough, that we don't have purpose, that we're too introverted, that we're not leaning in, that we're not a culture fit. And we internalize these elements that we are failures, that we are bad, that we are the problem, that is my fault, that I'm the worst. And then that creates mental health issues and insecurity and imposter syndrome, that I'm the problem. And I reject that. And I want you to feel the breath of compassion to say that we exist in a system that has been designed to tell you that you are not enough. And I want you to reject that entirely, because it is not only your fault to be professional, authentic, all these elements. There is a space around us that communicates constantly to marginalized identities or diverse identities that you are not enough, that you are not enough. So the employee experience is not something mechanical. It's not about redrafting your policies and your processes necessarily. It's about something deeply emotional, deeply psychological, deeply spiritual, deeply connected. And I guess I don't even know what I'm asking us to do. I'm just asking us to think critically about this, if you are somebody who's never thought about this, who's never felt the burden of not being professional, not being authentic, not being purpose, to open up that like heart space and like feel the deep empathy of somebody who is working their hardest in their organization and still not seen as professional enough and authentic enough, not because of who they are, but who the system, and that you can extend that empathy and say, wow, Jocelyn, I hated the same place, but not for the same reasons as you. And I am so sorry. That's awful. To be working day in and day out, but still not be good enough. That is traumatic. And this is the effect of being in the workplace. This is the effect of being in our world. This is the effect of employees within organizations that aren't mindful about the space that it creates, comfort and access.